Well, as promised, it's now time to share our first drive impressions of the Mahindra XEV 9e. Now, there is already a very in-depth first look walk around video of this car as well as its other cousin, the B6e, on the autoX YouTube channel already. So if you want to see an in-depth look at the design and the interiors of the car, make sure you check that video out as well. Having said that, if you're new here, well, we will still go over the design of the car, but we'll just speed it up a little bit and talk about the highlights and the things that really stand out. But before we begin, I really want to know what you think of the design of the car. Is this something as per your taste? Let me know in the comment section. And also, if you like this video, share it with your friends and make sure you subscribe to the autoX YouTube channel. Having said all of that, let's get to it. Let's start with the design of the car. Let's start with the front. I really like this connected headlamp design. It's really neat. It houses these headlamps within it. I think this gives the car a very futuristic look. What also works in its favor are these grille-like elements at the front, which give the car a bit of a texture. Quickly, let's take a look at the new Mahindra logo for their electric cars that you'll see on their BE electric range of cars. At the bottom, we've got a gloss black element, and as you'll see, there's a lot of gloss black all around the car. My concern is keeping them scratch-free and maintaining them will be a bit of a hassle, especially in the monsoon season. And if you are willing to commit to take care of this gloss black element and avoid scratches, well, that just could be a lot of work. Coming to the side profile, again, the first thing that you will notice is just the amount of gloss black body cladding running all across the car. Again, will be a bit of a hassle to maintain. Other things, I have to talk about the QR code over here. It says 3, and as per my understanding, this is going to be the name of the variant because they announced the entry-level variant pricing, which is about 23 lakh rupees ex-showroom, and they announced the name of the variant by showing us a QR code, and on top of that, it said 1. So, as per my understanding, this is the third from the bottom variant that you're seeing here. I really like the alloy wheel designs on the car as well. 19-inch wheels, these are fairly large wheels, but they look proportionate to the size of the car, which should give you an idea of just how massive it is. Moving on, again, gloss black surroundings on the window, and you've got an awkwardly placed door handle over here. Sure, it looks nice because you don't get a conventionally placed door handle over here, but this is a bit of an awkward position to open the door and can take getting time used to. Again, if you're interested in listening to the thud of the door, well, here you go. Pretty nice. Now, let's talk about the rear half of the car. This is where you get that flowing coupe-like design. I really like it. Gives this car a sense of bulk and some character as well. Coming to the back, you've got a massive tail lamp unit. It's a connected light design. It looks really nice, and what I also really like is just how the back is recessed towards the lights, giving this car a bit of a muscle and some road presence. The XEV 9e, the name is spelled out on the boot of the car, and underneath it, once again, we see a full gloss black treatment. All in all, is this car as per your design? Let me know in the comments. Coming to the interiors of the XEV 9e, well, it's a fantastic place to be in. It really feels like an interior of a car that costs much more than the promised price of the entry-level variant. This really feels like a car that could properly belong to perhaps something like an European or a Japanese premium car manufacturer. Yes, that's the amount of high praise I would like to give to this cabin. Now, what gets your attention? Of course, it is going to be this massive glass panel in front of you. It's 43.3 inches of display, but what it is essentially is 3-part displays housed in this massive panel. All of them are touchscreen except for the instrument cluster, of course. Let's go over them one by one. You've got a screen on the passenger side. It gives you access to all the entertainment controls, including the ability to even watch something like a YouTube video while you're on the drive to entertain yourself if you're seated here at the passenger seat. Up here in the middle, you've got all the functions of the car. The good part is, through their new UI, Mahindra promises a lot more firepower, so you should get a better touch response and overall a much smoother experience, and that has been the case for us. Although there were a couple of bugs, but as you can see right here on the screen, it says the software is still in beta phase. And yes, most importantly, the car does come with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto support right from the get-go, unlike some other Mahindra cars as we've seen in the past. The other good thing is you always have HVAC controls up on the screen at all times, no matter which part of the screen you're in. So you can always access the HVAC controls whenever you want to. Although it's still a touch-based system, a dial would have been so much better. Having said that, there are multiple ways to use the screen. Of course, you can do that through your touch input. You can also do that through this nice little dial over here. You can access some shortcut menus through the 4 buttons around it, and overall you have a lot of options to use it. Moving on to the right of it is what you get is the all digital instrument cluster. Really crisp display, great graphics, and is packed with information. But overall, it's still a much cleaner layout as we've seen in other modern Mahindra cars. There's not an overload of information, and that is an approach that I really like. Now, since we're talking about the driver's side of the cabin, we have to talk about the steering wheel. Yes, it has a gloss black panel running in the middle, which houses the new Mahindra logo for electric cars. And yes, it feels pretty similar to what we've seen on some of the other Tata cars out there in the market. Although I have to say, overall, it feels like a slightly better execution. Again, talking of gloss black panels, you've got a lot of them running across the center console. Same concern once again, keeping them dust free and smudge free will take a bit of a time. But overall though, the cabin feels really spacious, and you have a lot of space to keep your water bottles, your knickknacks. You have got a couple of cup holders, you have a large underarm storage, and you've got a place to keep your key as well. Speaking of which, I think it's worth showing the key of the car. As you can see, it's got a really different design, looks really modern, and something hutke from the other car keys that you get in the market. So the in-cabin experience is definitely fantastic in the XEV 9e. But there are still some other goods that we still haven't talked about. Things like you've got electrically adjustable driver side seat with 3 sets of memory function as well. On the other hand, the passenger side is manually adjustable, but it does not get a height adjustability function. Talking about the ergonomics, well, everything feels right where it should be. It feels rather nice, but you don't have very good under thigh support, that I must mention. You sit a little bit knees up, but that is something you'll have to get used to if you're driving this car. Last but not the least, we have to talk about the sound system of the car. Now, Mahindra has simply knocked it out of the park. Not only is it one of the best systems that I've seen on this side of the 30 lakh rupee price bracket, I would say it's the best unit that you can get. It sounds fantastic. It has a lot of these software features that simulate that you're in a opera house or in some stadium across the globe. There are some adaptive modes. There's a lot of things going on inside the software, which you can obviously explore at your leisure. But what you need to know is that the sound system is truly brilliant. Now, special note, the Mahindra XEV 9e and its cousin B6e, well, these are the first made in India production cars to come with Dolby Atmos support. So if you're someone who likes the crisp audio, well, you'll be really pleased with this car. Now, if you come to the back seat, the first thing I want to talk about is just the amount of space that you have while getting inside the car. Because of the sloping roofline, which looks really nice, you're really in short supply of space if you want to get inside the car. For reference, I'm 5'11", and getting inside here can be a bit of a cumbersome affair. Although, keep in mind, it's a slightly different condition in the B6e. So make sure you check out our first drive impressions of that car to understand what's different over here. But in this video, we're talking about the 9e. let's talk about that. You can have 3 people sit abreast over here. The person who's sitting in the middle won't have any problem because there's no transmission tunnel thanks to the skateboard platform that the car is built on. That's the pro. The con is, as is the case with most of the battery electric vehicles, where the battery is under the floor, you sit a little bit knees up. Once again, the under thigh support is not the best. In case you don't have someone seated in the middle, you can drop down the armrest with a couple of cup holders. You have rear AC vents over here. You've got wireless charging supported slot over here, wherein you can put your phone and it will wirelessly charge. I think that's a neat integration. To give you an idea of space, I've set the driver's seat as per my height, and you can see there's ample knee room. I can stretch my legs out and get really comfortable over here at the back. What I also really like is the inclusion of blinds at the back, and overall comfort is really high in the cabin. Of course, we have to talk about this beautiful glass roof, which also comes with its own lighting system. It looks really nice, it looks really futuristic, and when you're done drooling over the light and the ambient light and all of that about the car, in effect it acts as a very nice place to let in a lot of light inside the cabin, giving it that sense of space. You also sit a little bit higher up as compared to the front seat, so you have a large area of visibility, and that is something that's really nice. I do have to make a special mention though about the white interiors. I mean, this is our day one with the car. These are brand new cars, and some other people have used it. There are some spots on the seats already. Maintaining this white interior, that will be a bit of a hassle. Last but not the least, you get the ability to adjust the front seat from the back here through this button. You can slide the front seat all the way to the front and have that boss mode experience at the back as well. Also a special mention to the ability to recline the front seats. Obviously this is all manually done, but if you want, you can really recline it all the way back and really lounge around at the back of this car. What's also really nice, if I may bring it up slightly, is that you have a 65 watt output rated USB-C port over here, which in a sense means not only can you charge your phone pretty fast, but you can charge your laptop too while on the go, which is a nice touch. Now let's talk about boot space. Now the boot space that you get on offer is a massive 663 liters that you get at the back. As you can see, the tailgate can open and close electrically, and you have this really nice cover at the back as well. Underneath here, well, you have a place to keep your chargers and other accessibility tools, and if you raise it all the way, you'll get access to the space saver wheel under there, under the boot space. Overall, it's a massive space. The whole thing opens up with the rear glass panel as well, so you have very good accessibility, but the loading lip is rather high. So if you have to load in luggage, you really will have to pick it up and put it back over here. Wrapping up our practicality bit is the inclusion of this massive frunk, the additional cargo space that you get at the front. Since this is an EV, the motor's right down near the floor of the car at the back, because this is a rear wheel drive car. So at the front, they've opened up more space to keep your stuff. What's good is that if you raise this cover, you get even more storage, maybe to keep things like your charging cable. And in case you're wondering, this is where you fill the washer fluid as well. So overall, the XEV 9e is a very nice car in terms of practicality, space, and on-road presence. The question that's remaining now is how it is to drive. So let's get on to it. Well, it's now time to talk about my favorite part of the video, which is the driving experience. And I have to say, Mahindra has really outdone themselves this time around. The Inglo platform is fantastic. It leaves nothing to complain. And all in all, it's a fabulous piece of engineering which has shown through in this example. Now, Mahindra says as per their own testing in several cities in India, the car would give you a real world mileage of 500 kilometers and above in a full charge, and that is actually very impressive. That makes range anxiety a thing of the past. But where would you be rather seated in the XEV 9e? At the driver's seat? Well, if you're here, you'll really enjoy the ride quality that the car has to offer, but you'll enjoy it more if you were seated at the back. That's just how this car is set up. If you're someone who likes to be driven around with a chauffeur, you'll really enjoy this car. What's also interesting this time around is that the Mahindra eSUVs come with variable geometry ratios for the steering wheel, and what that essentially means is that if you're at lower speeds and you want a quick change of direction, just a little bit of movement will move the car quite a bit. So if you want basically a quick responsive car, that is what you'll get, and the car will also understand when it should weigh up your steering feedback, as in when you're taking those fast corners so that you have feedback. Well, that is also something that you get with the car, and I think that's quite impressive as well. Being an EV, well, the torque on demand is instant. The moment you press the throttle, you're sort of thrown back into the seat. That's just how quick this car is. And if you want to take those corners as well, there's a little bit of understeer. You do feel the weight, but it's planted, it's firm. At no point does it feel like the car's about to give up traction and put you in a bad spot. Now, for example, if I have to take this really tight U-turn, well, the car manages to do that with ease. The Inglo platform is genuinely just really good. Now, what's not perfect? Well, the rear visibility from this car is non-existent, to be honest. There is a headrest for the middle passenger, as I showed you when I was talking about the rear seat experience. That doesn't fold down, and as a result there are 3 headrests blocking my view almost entirely. For me, the rear view mirror is practically useless. Yes, you do expect that from a car with such an aggressive coupe-like roofline, but in this case it's really of no use. Thankfully though, you have these large outside rear view mirrors which make driving this car so much more easier. What Mahindra has also done is that they've brought in this thing called Vision X, which is their augmented reality based heads-up display. It's not really that nice. I mean, it sounds fantastic. In theory, it's supposed to place all the information at your heads-up display about 10 meters ahead of the car, but I never found the focal length of the text to be correct. It always felt like I had difficulty focusing on what's written down there. It always felt a little bit blurred. So maybe by the time the car hits the road and goes on sale properly and the deliveries begin, they would sort this out. What you also get with this car are 3 driving modes. They're called Race, Everyday and Range. The good part is, as you change through these modes, your range on offer changes as well, giving you a good idea of just how much range is left in the car. Now, to wrap all of this up, I'm not going to go into much detail because our drive was very brief. We essentially drove from our hotel to the testing facility at Mahindra, which is about an hour's worth of drive, and we were all driving in a convoy. So I didn't really get to know the proper dynamics of the car. So we'll have to wait for the car to come to us for a proper review, and we'll share our driving experience then. But as far as first glances go, well, if you find a corner in the Mahindra EVs and you find a straight, you can build up stupid speeds in almost no time. It is a car that will leave you smiling for sure. I have to make a special mention of the acceleration on offer though. What Mahindra did was very boldly, they actually put their cars up against some of the German counterparts, namely the cars like the BMW X1 and the Audi e-tron SUV, and in some conditions that sort of favored them, but still nevertheless they actually managed to be quicker. This is a properly fast car. This would reach 100 kilometers an hour mark in about 6.5 seconds or so, and any car that does that speed that quickly is a fast car. The fact that this is so big and is an EV and is able to do that, well, that just makes it more impressive. Well, to sum it all up, the XEV 9e has been a really impressive experience today. Although our drive was rather brief, it was nonetheless impressive, and overall this is shaping up to be a really competitive package, one that may hold up against even the likes of some electric German cars that are on sale in India, which would cost pretty much twice as much as its entry-level price that we've been promised today. Yes, we don't know the full price list that Mahindra is saying should be out in the next couple of months, and the deliveries of the car should be in the second half of February in 2025. So yes, the cars are still a bit of a time away. They can fix a lot of the things that we've experienced in the car. I would say this is definitely something that you need to look out for. Make sure you subscribe to the autoX YouTube channel, hit that bell notification icon so you're notified when that video goes live. I'm really looking forward to what you have to say about the car. Let me know in the comment section just how impressive this has been, or is this something that's leaving you wanting a bit more?